human beings living in any country on this lovely planet called Earth, and to all human beings traveling in space stations or walking around in space, warm greetings from your brother Garuda Somanna. After watching a video by Pastor James Caddis, I started feeling the urge to write about a coming world ruler prophesied in the Bible. Let's first hear a little of what Caddis says in his video.
Look what it says. It says, in a powerful display of religious unity and determination, Jewish and Christian worshipers made history Monday by holding an unprecedented prayer service at Judaism's holiest site, the Temple Mount, celebrated Donald Trump and praying for his successful return to the presidency. The groundbreaking gathering directly challenged the discriminatory status quo that has long prevented Jews from freely worshiping at their most sacred site. And folks, that's absolutely true. And you have to understand the Jordanian Waqf has a lot to do with this. And it's interesting because even when you consider the existence of the Jordanian Waqf, it brings out so many other issues that we have to talk about.
You can watch the whole video by following the link provided in the description box below. Pastor Caddis is extremely excited about the implications of the joint faith prayer service held on Jerusalem's Temple Mount on the 20th of January 2025, and so will be all those who know their Bible. To help others understand why Caddis is so excited, let me briefly describe the history as provided by the Bible of the Temple Mount, which is called Mount Moriah in the Bible. This photo shows the Mount Moriah as at present, but in the past it was not so. About 1800 years BCE, this was the place where Abraham was asked to sacrifice his only son Isaac, as mentioned in Genesis 22nd chapter verses 1 and 2. When Abraham raised the knife to kill his son, pleased with his obedience, God stopped him from his act and made a covenant with him, as described in verses 16 to 18 of the same chapter. About 400 years later, at around 1400 BCE, God used Moses to deliver the Jews from their cruel slavery in Egypt and led them to the promised land. The Lord gave the 10 Commandments on stone tablets and made a covenant with Israel. Moses recorded additional laws and animal sacrifices daily, weekly, monthly, and during the 7 annual feasts became a central part of their worship. The Israelites were commanded to offer their sacrifices in the promised land they would enter, not wherever they pleased, but only at the place which God would choose for them. About another 400 years later, around 1000 BCE, God showed to King David the place he had chosen where all Israel should offer their sacrifices, the threshing floor of a Jebusite named Araunah. King David purchased the threshing floor from Araunah as written in the scriptures. 2 Samuel 24th chapter 24th verse. And the king said unto Araunah, Nay, but I will surely buy it of thee at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto the Lord my God of that which doth cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. Moreover, David purchased the place also from Ornan as recorded in the scriptures. 1 Chronicles 21st chapter 25th verse. So David gave to Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold by weight. 26th verse. And David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon the Lord. And he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. The place where David set up the altar is the same Mount Moriah or Jerusalem's Temple Mount where Abraham was about to sacrifice his son Isaac. David realized that this was the place which God had chosen for all the tribes of Israel to offer their sacrifices and offerings. David's son Solomon built the first Jewish temple upon Jerusalem's Mount Moriah around 957 BCE, and for nearly 400 years Jews offered their sacrifices at this temple. In 586 BCE, this temple was destroyed by the Babylonians under King Nebuchadnezzar. 70 years later, in 516 BCE, when the Persians overthrew the Babylonian Empire under a decree given by the Persian king Cyrus, the second Jewish temple came up on the Temple Mount built by Zerubbabel, a descendant of King David. Another 400 years or so later, in 19 BCE, King Herod extensively renovated and expanded the temple built by Zerubbabel. And it was of this temple that Jesus, upon his being rejected as being the Messiah, prophesied. Luke 21st chapter 6th verse. As for these things which you behold, the days will come in the which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. In 17 CE, the Romans under Titus threw down every stone of the temple, and only a portion of the retaining wall of the Temple Mount was left standing. This portion of the western wall, also known as the Wailing Wall. At the present moment of time, these Islamic structures adorn the Temple Mount. To the north is the Dome of the Rock that has been built in 691 CE on the very site where Solomon's temple once stood, and which is the only place where the Jews are required by God to offer up their sacrifices. Towards the south of the Temple Mount is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, built in 705 CE, where the Muslims have their prayers. Currently, the Temple Mount and its Islamic structures are under the control and management of the Jordanian Waqf, and Jews are allowed only to visit these places but are prohibited from making public prayers there. They can only approach the western wall and wail there. The situation is changing rapidly before our eyes. The Jews are no longer willing to meekly weep at the western wall but are asserting their rights to build a temple and hold worship services and prayers and sacrifices at the place chosen for them by God. Most of the Muslim world will be up in arms against such moves, and some of them love to chant death to the Jews. In the backdrop of such a sensitive and volatile situation, it is difficult to visualize a Jewish temple coming up on the Temple Mount, but it is written in the Bible that a Jewish temple would be coming up there. Further, the Bible informs us that through the mediation of a world ruler who would come, the temple would come up without a fight. The coming world ruler should be having some kind of superhuman power to do this. Courage to the Jews to build a temple, and fear to all those who would oppose the coming up of the Jewish temple upon the Temple Mount. God willing, in future video messages, I plan to present more information regarding the coming world ruler as given in the books of the Bible. Thanks for watching. Hoping to see you in the next video. Bye.